Hello and welcome to this video discussing the topic whether poverty makes people sick in relation to malaria. This presentation is part of our 2020-2021 Mémoires. I am Ilana Joseph from the 3e D.
And I am Lipscomb Weissen from the 3e C. In the year 2000, 20% of malaria transmissions were outside of Africa. In 2015, this number dropped, making Africa the victim of 88% of malaria cases. Last year, this number dropped again, making Africa the bearer of 92% of all cases. We do not know if this trend will continue, but we can only assume that the number will continuously drop until it hits 0% for non-African countries. As we came across these numbers, we asked ourselves if the reason for this number is that African countries are among the poorest countries in the world, lacking sufficient water supplies, healthcare services, and other stable institutions that richer countries, such as European countries, offer, often for free. Or are there other reasons, like the climate or bigger social structures, that hinder Africa from becoming malaria-free?
But let's start at the beginning. Malaria is a disease caused by a type of parasite, not a bacteria or virus, that emerged in Africa. This parasite genus is called Plasmodium, which uses female mosquitoes as vectors, meaning it is not the mosquito itself but the parasite in it that infects the host with the deadly disease. In 1 AD, the parasite, and therefore also malaria, was transmitted from the African rainforest to Europe, reaching so far north that parts of England and Denmark had cases.
So, what has changed? What did Europe and other developed nations such as the United States do differently to Africa, causing that continent to be the main victim of malaria nowadays? The answer is complex. Firstly, the parasite that carries malaria has a clear disadvantage in the far northern and far southern hemisphere. Due to the climate, these parts of the world correlate to where most of the richest countries are located. The parasite likes hot weather with rainfall periods, meaning a two-season system consisting of the wet season and the dry season, which Africa has, but Europe, for example, does not. So, there is a clear advantage for countries further from the equator. As you can see, the data supports this, with malaria cases creating a belt around the equator. However, the parasite has been common in more northern regions in the past, and still is common in quite southern regions, such as South Africa.
This is where the money comes in. African countries simply lack the financial resources to eradicate malaria. This is arguably still a remnant of European colonialism. In the 60s, Europe and North America set out to eradicate malaria with the help of the WHO. The program was successful, however, it costed billions of dollars, money that African countries simply do not have and certainly did not have in the 60s. Getting rid of malaria in Africa is a complicated problem with many layers. It starts with personal problems such as the lack of airtight housing, not enough food or water which impedes the immune system, to much more fundamental problems such as the lack of infrastructure to reach healthcare, or a lack of education to understand the issue and how to handle it. The medical system itself is often unequipped to handle the situation. It even extends to a national level where governments simply aren't focusing their resources to the areas that matter, perhaps they are distracted by wars or corruption.
Ultimately, there is no one solution to the issue at hand. We must improve living conditions, provide education, healthcare, nutrition, infrastructure and hygiene to the people that need it the most, and governments must understand how to handle this pandemic, to finally eradicate this awful disease. And one thing is clear. We must eradicate malaria. Since you have begun watching this video, an estimated 15 people have succumbed to it.
Finally, we can ask ourselves if this means that poverty makes people sick. We would undoubtedly answer yes. However, people in rich countries do also get sick, often due to consumerism and unhealthy lifestyles. Common illnesses are mental health issues and heart diseases. Nevertheless, the difference is that developed nations are much more equipped with treatment possibilities, and thus the consequences are less severe.
In conclusion, does poverty make people sick? Yes. However, Does wealth make people healthy? We would say no.